Over 90 members of parliament, including dozens of ministers, have knocked on Public Protector Busisiwe Mkhwebane's doors to widen the probe on state capture. The MP submitted a plea to the Public Protector's office demanding an investigation into the conduct, collusion and corruption of the financial services sector. In particular, the National Treasury, South African Reserve Bank, Financial Intelligence Sector, Public Investment Corporation and the Financial Services Board. Finance Minister Malusi Gigaba and his deputy, Sifiso Buthelezi, are also among the list of signatories to the complaint. In a hard-hitting complaint, the MPs say Advocate Thuli Madonsela's state of capture report is full of innuendos and malicious rumours to malign the president. They claim that it is unbefitting to focus on minuscule amounts spent on Gupta businesses versus the trillions spent in total, and that white monopoly capital, the greatest beneficiaries of state spend, have gone totally unchecked in Madonsela's report.
We've come to make a request to the Public Protector to broaden the scope of state capture, to include things like the National Treasury, South African Reserve Bank, Financial Intelligence Center, Public Investments, Financial Services Board, as well as the banks. We are not siding with anybody. We are very neutral and objective. We want to know the truth, and so that the people of South Africa are able to know. And we are not doing it for political reasons. We are doing it as members of parliament who are concerned and who want to know the truth.
I think the report that came about Treasury not following the laws and its own regulations is very worrying. I'm worried especially about that.
Our constituencies are asking what is happening. What is this thing that is happening in Parliament, different reports, because we don't have facts about it. That's why we came to the Public Protector to say that, can you please investigate this thing in the holistic manner, so that the communities that send us to Parliament, they know the truth, because most of the things are appearing in the media. We don't know which is true and which is not true. As members of Parliament, we want the facts. That's what we want.
I think the emphasis here is on the broadening of the scope of the state of capture report, because to some of us it appears that the report is narrow and is targeted. So we'd like it to be more open, so that anybody who is implicated should be taken out into the open.
We are a little bit worried that there are many areas where we are not happy, and including, the way Treasury is dealing with matters that relates to the economic growth, and also, of course, is the South African Reserve Bank, its failure to really get the inflation rate under control.
Let's cut across to my colleague Stefani to understand the 10-point charge sheet of the members of parliament and what they want investigated.
So we'll be taking a look at 10 allegations that were made. Well, the first allegation that were made is the Ruperts, the Oppenheimers and the business elite control South Africa's financial sector. The next allegation that we'll be taking a look at is Treasury, South African Reserve Bank, the Financial Intelligence Center, the Public Investment Corporation and the Financial Services Board work against government and to South Africa's detriment. Taking a look at the next allegation, that's allegation 3. Treasury, South African Reserve Bank, FIC, and operates in the interest of few instead of the majority. Well, the next allegation coming through is many South African companies enjoy very high profit margins, often 50% higher than in other nations. Well, allegation 5 is that Treasury protects its friends in the business elite, and this must be investigated. Moving on to allegation 6, discrimination in granting banking licenses has allowed 4 banks to dominate South Africa's financial services. The next allegation, allegation 7, in 2016, the South African Reserve Bank blocked a small acquisition to create a new black-owned challenger bank. Well, taking a look at allegation 8, we're almost done, is percentage of the black shareholders in ABSA, Standard Bank and FNB are 6%, 5% and 3% respectively. Allegation number 9 says PIC manages 1,857 trillion but very little invested to support ordinary and small South African entrepreneurs. Well, the last allegation that we have is that the FSB invests 90% of its fund in a selected few companies, majority controlled by interconnected elite. That's for the allegation.
The first problem that we are faced with is this so-called 90 MPs behind the scenes approaching the public protector. That is already a very clear sign that individual MPs who are supposed to be serving the best interest of the country and approach the public protector's office, which is an office created by a statute of parliament, they were supposed to be going there collectively. Now, each one of them sneak out representing their individual political parties and their interests to go and try and persuade the public protector to put in front or the priority files of what their political parties represent. That is wrong.
We should applaud the 90 that have now come forth. Most certainly, I think that just demonstrates the level of seriousness that we now need to start approaching these issues. That really, I would say that this is a three-headed monster for our country that really has to be tackled. If you look at what these MPs are asking that be investigated, I most wholeheartedly agree with them.
And here's a look at what the MPs want a probe. Firstly, they would like to investigate the conduct, collusion and corruption of the financial services sector. Secondly, to probe how Treasury, SARB, FIC and PIC work against the elected government. Thirdly, to probe how National Treasury protects its friends in the business elite. They want answers as to why the Treasury and SARB is selective about granting new banking licenses. Why are there no prosecutions in the rand-fixing scandal implicating big banks? The investigation into PIC's investment mandate that primarily benefit only the elite. Why there is no update on apartheid-era looting and the illegal bailout of Bancorp by SARB. Why there is no probe into the Big Four bank shutting the bank accounts of a big SA employer. And lastly, why does FIC target one company without proof when it receives an average of 200,000 suspect transactions per annum?
We lodged a similar complaint with the public protector while Thuli Madonsela was still the public protector to say she needs to expand her terms of reference when she looks into the issue of state of capture, and we were quite direct and clear that we have white settler monopoly capital in this country that has monopolized all strategic sectors of the economy, and because of their power and influence, they are able to influence decision making and on how governance, how this country is run in this country. But obviously, we know how the Office of the Public Protector under Thuli Madonsela was being used by opposition parties such as the Democratic Alliance.
While the ANC managed to put a united front in the face of the opposition, its stance on certain issues raised questions. The NEC's resolutions highlighted the party's self-contradicting positions on several matters, including state capture, the succession debate, and Brian Molefe's reinstatement.
Any people who are reviewing that report of the Public Protector, we are asking that those processes should be accelerated because they should not be used as an obstacle to the establishment of a Judicial Commission of Inquiry. Not only the President, anybody who is affected there who is reviewing that report, those processes must be accelerated. Rescinding Prime Minister's decision, did we instruct the Minister not to contest the court? No, we did not. All we did was to say to the Minister, resolve this issue before it goes to court yourself. That's all we say. How you resolve it, we can't determine that for a minister. All we say, Minister, resolve this matter before it goes to court. We should continue discussing the principles that should guide election of leadership in the ANC, but allow the structures of the ANC to start discussing the names. But such discussions should be based on the principles discussed and through the eye of the needle. Nomination will only be opened in September 2017.
Here are some of the contradictions in the NEC resolutions. The NEC says it supports anyone taking the State of Capture report on review, but it says legal review should not delay the Judicial Commission of Inquiry. The NEC says structures can now discuss candidates for the elective conference, but it says nominations for preferred candidates will only open in September. The NEC says Molefe's credentials in state-owned enterprises are impeccable, but it says Molefe's appointment must be retracted before the matter goes to court.
Already there are some candidates whose name we already know,
Yes.
that they have already started to campaign. So that which he has now announced is actually hollow. It actually is a contradiction in terms. You cannot say that for now we discuss names and that no active lobbying and asking for support should happen while it has happened.
ANC-NEC's contradictions raise the following key questions. Firstly, why does the ANC not await findings of the probe into Molefe's reinstatement before retracting his appointment? Secondly, is it not justified to allow ample time for those implicated in state capture to exhaust all their legal options? Thirdly, what's the point of allowing structures to discuss leadership candidates without opening the nomination window? And lastly, is the ANC allowing external voices calls for President Jacob Zuma to step down to influence the debate in the party?
The whole notion of discussion of names, what the ANC is faced with is that it is unable to instill that level of ironclad discipline to its members, to say, if we say you're not going to speak, you're not going to speak. So it sees it, this is a way of accommodating a reality that is already taking place. People are talking and people are lobbying and some people are campaigning.